Hunting in the West takes place in some really big country. You can't hike it all, so you have to be good behind glass. We're going to talk about some different tools and strategies that we take into the backcountry every year. So the very first one we're going to talk about on our list is handheld binos. And from eastern Colorado to western Washington, most folks are going to wear a set of handheld binos on their chest in a rig, something like this. Bino bivvies or straps, something that it's close and ready at all times, where if you think you see something, you can pop it up quick, some quick glassing. It's more of a wide panning glassing strategy. We're not looking in every little nook and crannies with handhelds typically. It's a broadcast or a shotgun approach. Typically these are a 10 by 42, 10 by 50, maybe up to a 12 by 50. Guys will run those handheld or in a seated position on their knees or on top of their bow, something that gives it a little bit of stabilization. That is the first and probably most important piece of glass. Binos on a tripod. Our handheld version of this is kind of a shotgun widespread approach. This is a little bit more fine-tuned. Now we're picking apart things at a further distance, or we're looking in nooks and crannies and things that aren't quite as obvious. This is more of the scalpel of our tool set. This is just one step further, a little bit more stabilized, maybe some heavier, bigger optics on here. We might run a 12 by 50 or a 15 by 56 or something bigger that we don't want to run handheld. A lot of times we'll see guys run our standard 10 by 42s on here as well and just get that added stabilization. Stabilization is everything with picking out stationary objects, because you're looking for an ear flicker or a twitch of a mule deer that can be tucked up into some sagebrush. Doing that freehand can be tough sometimes. Another big benefit to running them on a tripod is if it's a laser range finding binocular, you're getting a dead accurate measurement of yardage. So by taking something like this in the backcountry with you versus carrying a spotter, you're getting a lot of the benefits of the image stabilization of being on sticks, being able to pick stuff out that's barely moving, like a twitch of an ear or something like that, that might be tough with handhelds alone. And it's kind of a good middle ground from handhelds to a full-on spotter. The last tool we're going to look at today is a full spotter on a tripod. If the first tool is a shotgun approach with our handhelds and then maybe a scalpel with binos on a tripod, this is the very, very fine tool to find something that is tucked away in a nook or 1,500 yards away, big magnification, big weight. The pros are obviously, we can see a long ways off, we can see right up tight and really dissect an area. If there's a shaded area of junipers that we really can't dig into with lighter powered optics, this guy comes out and it can find out what's in those shadows. Some cons to it, it's obviously pretty heavy. If we're in an area where we're looking for a specific mule deer or a type of mule deer, I guess, we're probably taking something like this to take a really good look at the buck that we're after. Animals that we're going to be hunting that are typically bedded throughout the day, a spotter is nice to have for that. If I'm going on an elk hunt in the timber, I'm not going to take a spotter. Plain and simple. It's just too much weight, there's too much movement, there's no point in carrying something when I can see 75 to 200 yards. There's no need for a spotter there, especially for an animal the size of an elk. There's different variations of spotters. There's angled tube like we see here, which lets you kind of get above the spotter, looking down through it, and a straight tube would come right back here. You're getting straight behind the spotter. It's personal preference on those, really. The key thing to take away from this, spotters are used to see super far and super tight. So quick recap, Western hunters, I think everyone with almost out exception should have a set of binos on their chest. If you're looking at picking apart some country from a distance a little bit, or you want to really kind of just get some more stabilized glassing, but a lightweight option, maybe you're not looking super far or trying to find inches of antler on a mule deer, carrying a tripod with you to put your handhelds on is a great option, or also carrying another set of larger laser range finding optics, or maybe some 12 by 50s, 1556. That's kind of that good middle ground. And of course, full out glassing mode, big spotter, guys looking for a specific type of deer, specific type of elk, long range, guys hunting out of a truck. They make truck mounts for these that work pretty awesome. It's all kind of vary on the type of hunt that you're going to do and the type of animal that you're after. Now we're going to talk about some basic strategies that we use in the backcountry when we're glassing, and it's going to kind of bring all these different tools into conjunction and using different ones at different times. Say we get up onto a ridge top and we're looking into a valley or a basin or an opposing hillside. The first thing that I'm gonna do when I get up there, not touch any glass yet, just slow down and look and just kind of pan around with my naked eye, try to find anything that's obviously out of place or something, just stupid obvious stuff right off the bat. Once we've kind of looked around and cleared out everything with the naked eye, essentially 0 magnification, we'll come into like a 10 or a 12 magnification and start grid searching the mountain up and down or left and right. It doesn't matter the direction or the orientation that you go. What does matter is how slow you go through this and that you overrun each part of your track. Picture mowing your lawn. You follow your tire track of the previous line just to get a little bit of overlap that you know you're not going to miss and have uncovered country or leave some grass standing up. So when you're going through this grid, go slow, really pick stuff apart. The best thing to do is get behind the glass, lock it into a spot, and don't just look in the center of your glass. Look through all the edges without moving everything first. Pick out a spot and look through every little part of the binos, clear it. Have a good idea that there is nothing there to look at anymore. Work down, whatever you're doing, handheld or on sticks. Once you've done that, you've gone all the way to the bottom, come over so you can just barely see where you left off at and do the exact same thing going up. Same principle applies, handheld, binos on a tripod or a spotter. So that's a general catch-all for glassing the backcountry in the West. That's kind of a principle that applies to any and everything that you're gonna hunt out there, whether it's deer, elk, bear, antelope, any type of glassing, that's a good strategy to go with. One thing that I want to make perfectly clear is all these tools are important and they're important for different circumstances, but probably the most beneficial that they can be to your hunt strategy is when you cross them together. So there's times where getting a spotter out, having it ready, and then also being on your handhelds throughout the day. I think I see something there, but I'm not quite sure with these. I spin over on my spotter, confirm that it is something or isn't something, and continue to move on. Another thing to keep in mind is just looking at something from a different perspective or looking through different glass can make the difference too. There's different coatings on different glass that can make different colors pop, or just seeing something from a different magnification can really alter the way that you're seeing it. Or even moving your glassing point 20, 30, 100, 200 yards, you can see the same country from a different perspective and really get a better idea of what's going on as a whole picture. Of course, there's always exceptions to these tactics. This is kind of a blanket statement. You need to apply these strategies to your specific hunt, your specific area that you're hunting, the terrain. This is just kind of a general blanket statement, blanket tips to make you more effective in glassing in the backcountry. If you want to follow along with me on my season, I'm Joe Griffin on Instagram. Good luck this fall. Hope you glass up some big bucks and bulls and bears.